rearrange that living room more than once. Move the sofa, switch the cushions, try a different corner for the lamp, and every time it looks fine for a day or two. Then that same feeling creeps back in. Something's off and you still can't name it. Here's the thing, it's almost never the furniture itself. It's a handful of quiet decisions that are working against everything else in the room. And that's exactly what we're getting into today. We'll cover the big ones first, but stay with it because the last two are the kind of small details that make everything else finally click into place. Mistake number 1, the single plane trap. Here's the first one, and it's so common you probably won't even notice it until someone points it out. Look around your living room right now. Your sofa, your coffee table, your media console. They're all sitting in the same narrow horizontal band. Everything from the floor to about waist height, and then nothing. The upper half of the room is just empty air. When your eye scans a room like that, it has nowhere to travel. It hits the furniture, hits the wall, and stops. Your brain collapses the whole space into a flat image, like a photo rather than a room you're actually standing in. Designers call it the single plane trap, and it's one of the fastest ways a space starts to feel small and cheap without you understanding why. The fix isn't new furniture, it's redistributing where the eye goes. Mount your curtain rods close to the ceiling rather than just above the window frame. That single move makes the whole wall feel taller. Add a floor lamp, a tall plant in a corner, or a piece of art hung high enough that the gaze has to travel upward to find it. You want the eye moving naturally, low, mid, high, because that movement is what makes a room feel dynamic rather than flat. Mistake number 2, furniture against the walls. This one feels like the right call. Push everything back, free up the floor space, make the room feel open. Most people do it without even thinking about it, but it almost always backfires. When your sofa is flush against the wall, something subtle happens. It loses its mass. It stops reading as a piece of furniture and starts blending into the architecture, like it's just another flat surface. The room ends up feeling like a waiting room, everything lined up around the edges, nothing anchoring the middle, and the whole space feels strangely hollow even when it's fully furnished. Pulling the sofa even 6 inches from the wall changes everything. That small gap creates a shadow line behind it, and that shadow line is doing something important. It tells the eye the object is 3-dimensional, that it has real depth and volume. Suddenly, the room has a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. It has layers, and layered rooms always feel more considered and more expensive than flat ones. Mistake 3. One overhead light doing everything. If your living room runs entirely on one ceiling fixture, this is worth fixing before almost anything else, because lighting isn't just about visibility, it's structural. Here's what uniform overhead light actually does. It floods the room from one direction, washes out all the contrast, and kills shadow. And shadow is what gives your furniture weight and dimension. Without it, even a beautiful sofa starts to look like a cardboard cutout. The room looks bright, but somehow still feels flat and lifeless, and that's exactly why. What you want is light coming from multiple directions at different heights. A floor lamp beside an armchair, a table lamp in a dim corner, a wall sconce that catches a textured surface. These aren't just decorative, they're creating the shadow and contrast that makes objects feel 3-dimensional and the room feel warm. Think of it like the difference between a cloudy day and late afternoon sun. Cloudy light is flat, directionless, gray, but when light comes from an angle, it sculpts everything it touches. That's the feeling you're chasing, and it starts with getting light off the ceiling and down into the room. Mistake 4. Styling in even numbers with no height variation. Walk up to most styled shelves or console tables, and you'll find pairs. 2 candles, 2 vases, 2 matching frames symmetrically placed. It feels balanced, and that's exactly the problem. The brain pairs them up instantly, closes the loop, and moves on. Nothing holds the attention because the eye has nowhere to travel. The fix is styling in odd numbers, 3s, 5s, 7s, but with one specific condition. The objects can't all be the same height. You need a tall, a medium, and a low. A tall vase at the peak, a mid-height ceramic beside it, a flat stack of books, or a low tray anchoring the base. Group them close enough that they feel intentional, with open space around the cluster. The eye enters at the tallest point, travels down through the mid-element, and rests at the base. It's a small journey, but that journey is what separates a surface that feels curated from one that just feels like stuff placed somewhere. This one is the quietest mistake on the list, and possibly the most common. Everything matches. The sofa coordinates with the armchair, the coffee table echoes the side tables, every accessory sits within the same careful palette. On paper, it's cohesive. In photos, it looks clean. But spending time in it feels strangely hollow, like being inside a showroom where everything is for display and nothing is actually for living. When a room is too coordinated, the brain has nothing to catch on. The eye just glides over everything because there's no friction, no surprise, no moment that makes you stop and look twice. And that frictionless feeling reads as cheap, not expensive, because it looks purchased rather than built over time. A simple way to think about this is 80-20. 80% of the room follows the rules, cohesive palette, consistent style, clean lines, but 20% gets to be yours. The lamp that doesn't quite match anything else, the vintage piece with a story behind it, the object that means something rather than just fills a space. That 20% is what makes the difference between a room that looks designed and a room that actually feels like someone lives there. And lived in always reads more expensive than showroom perfect. Here's a small detail that quietly undermines a lot of living rooms. All the furniture shares the same leg style. Everything on tapered wooden legs, or every piece sitting on the same slim metal frame. When the legs match across the room, the whole space starts reading like a set, and sets always feel like they came off the same showroom floor on the same afternoon. The fix is simple contrast. Mix furniture that has legs with pieces that sit directly on the floor. Bring in something with skirting or a fully upholstered piece with no legs at all. That variation, leggy versus grounded, creates the same kind of rhythm as mixing heights in a styled vignette. The room starts to feel collected rather than purchased. And then there's the rug. Most people already know a small rug isn't ideal, but when you're standing in a store looking at the price difference between a medium and a large, the smaller one starts to feel like a reasonable compromise. But here's what that compromise is actually costing you. A rug that's too small fractures the seating area. The sofa ends up in one zone, the chairs in another, the coffee table caught awkwardly in between. Nothing shares a foundation, so nothing feels like it belongs together. You'll keep rearranging the furniture trying to fix a layout problem that was never actually a layout problem. A properly sized rug pulls everything into one shared footprint. The seating area suddenly feels intentional, designed, not just arranged. And what's interesting is how little else needs to change once that happens. The pieces you already have just start behaving better because they finally have somewhere to belong. The money you save on the smaller rug doesn't show up anywhere in the room, but the compromise does, every single day. None of these require a renovation. Most don't even require starting from scratch. Pull the sofa from the wall, raise the curtain rod, swap one ceiling light for a floor lamp. Let 20% of the room be imperfect and personal. And when it comes to the rug, size up. The price difference is a one-time thing. The cost of getting it wrong is every time you walk into that room and something still feels off. These aren't dramatic changes, but they're the ones that separate a room that looks set up from one that actually feels like home.